Welcome to my thoughts on Amy's Dead-End Dreamhouse, Season 1, Episode 5, Personality Disorder. The episode was rated TVMA, so this video there will be spoilers for at least these first 5 episodes, possibly also the 6th, and another episode that I absolutely loved. This one I could definitely also understand, relate to, and follow pretty well, even on initial viewing. So, as usual, the video might build on the ones I've done on earlier episodes, so I'm not restating everything. And I think, let's do the, so video recommendation, just so I don't forget doing it later. There we go. And, sometimes it's really difficult to pick just one, but I also don't want to overwhelm. I don't know. Okay, it's gonna be the Fantastic Frankie video, The Drama Explores White Women Tears. Now, I think I'm gonna try to keep this more or less scene by scene. I really love the way that this just immediately, hits the ground running, because right from the start we get it. We see, so there's this sort of blur of, I think it's imitating when a VHS tape is being worn down, so the image is not completely clear and the audio is fucking up a little bit. And then, we see, oh, she can't get out of bed because she feels like shit. Yeah. Just, it's a situation that we've all been in. And, then her appliances start talking to her, and, the director of her life is telling her action and she's not quite responding. Those last two, if that's happening to you, you might be having a very intense fever or something else that is making you see things. That's the very best time to get medical attention. Anyway, I love the idea that Mike is the alarm clock and can't turn himself off because he can't manipulate the world around him. And let's see, the Quack New Skin Who Dis was very funny. And Quack has the reaction I do when I make a joke and no one laughs, like, okay, something is terribly wrong here. And I think that does get us to the I love that. So they're increasing the number of ways that Cindy communicates, still without us hearing a voice from there. So now we have this thought bubble, and it's just like, if the word ugh was, series of scribbles, I guess. And the one of the best jokes in this episode was the kind of just eldritch horror nonsense spilling out of Amy's mouth before eventually saying no before getting out of bed. That is, oh my god. I think that might be the single most universal thing on the entire show of these 6 episodes. And I guess that, the thing about, TV telling Mike, you think I don't have emotional issues I'd like to solve in 20 minutes? And the thing about, well, okay, bed, throw Amy out of you. And, it's like, wait, that is some shit? I don't know, I had to check. And then they're at the end of the episode. witness me with the fucking possessed voice. Like, I think she might need the Ghostbusters. And the demonic eye is also great. And then we see the toaster again, like in that earlier episode about the throwaway joke, which I feel like makes that joke even funnier in retrospect, because when that happened, it was like, oh, we'll never see that character again. And now it's here, but only to comment on the fact that we never see it outside of jokes about how we never see it, and getting cross-eyed. And let's see, there's at least one more thing from this first. Yeah, and so, when the crew just, there's like, they're walking around her, sweeping. One of them places like a camera right next to her, just, yeah. And yeah, the conversation about, like, her best, and then, she insists she was only gonna blow the soup, not throw it. And the thing about, like, I wasn't gonna say anything, but it's not called a France hat, it's called a beret. And then we have the let's see. Yeah, I guess that does get us to that first commercial break. This is also one of the best of those, or I guess both of the ones. This is one of those cases where I'm really, really glad that one episode had two ads instead. Sometimes they'll do, one of them will be like a, what's it called? A moment for your mind. But the ad, the first one for, not product, but trading card of product. And I'm on it. I watched the show to have a good time, and I'm honestly feeling so attacked right now. My God, I don't even want to think about how much of my parents' money I wasted on this stupid fucking bullshit. I'd like to think it was never trading cards, but it was definitely fucking pogs and more than one yo-yo for some fucking unfathomable reason. And yeah, just the way they really zero in on the fact that, yeah, it's almost like you have the real thing, which I also feel like there's probably at least a little bit of criticism of now I of course forget what those things are called, but the those things with the bored ape and all that shit, where it's like, oh, no, you I mean, anyone can save this image, but you own the original, and it's totally not just fucking scam. Tax the rich. And yeah, let's see. I think that pretty much gets us to the part where, I'm hungry. Well, have a Sloppy Joe trading card. Yeah. The actor takes a bite out of yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and so Amy goes to the doctor, and at first she's getting this attentive, sensitive doctor who comes across as very professional, and then it's like, oh, you don't have insurance, or you have shitty insurance. Yeah, shit. It's not even that she doesn't have fucking insurance. It's just that the one she has is not good enough, so she's gonna have to deal with this lesser doctor who's just like, oh my God. The let's see, yeah, and the triple dirt insurance. He only deals with double dirt or higher. And also just the names, like, it's already funny that the first one, let's see, it was Flora, right? It wasn't Fauna. It was one of the two, certainly. And then the second one is Scrumple, which, like, I don't think I can really put into words exactly why, but my God, that really does sound like just, yeah, it's so much lesser of a doctor, and yeah, the first name is like this Latin term for, once again, I forget if it's, is it plant life or animal life, but one of the two, so it's like, PhD. and I don't know, I just love that they found a way to communicate that with something that's already, like, it sounds like the name of a doctor on a kids show, you know? Yeah, I think that does cover, that brings us to Scrumple. And yeah, you know, eating a sandwich and doesn't even bother to learn her name. And you know, the thing about the thing where he uses the recording, okay, the recording that what's the word? According to the recording to Jim? No. He uses a recording because he doesn't even feel like saying, you know, like basically introducing himself. That's part of the recording at least. And that's obviously, you know, it's not that a doctor literally does exactly that, but yeah, if you go to a shitty doctor, it might seem like they're just going through the motions, you know. And the let's see, so yeah, he just won't stop eating the sandwich. He, you know, talks with his mouth full. At one point he drops it and then picks it up and puts it back in his mouth, and I'm very, very relieved that I know enough about how sets work that I know that if you don't literally see in one shot them picking the food up off the ground and then putting it back in their mouth, no, don't worry, they had someone from craft services prepare, you know, a stuffed sandwich and then the one they eat after the one they've dropped. And yeah, the way that, you know, going to the doctor in some ways almost makes things worse because now it's written down that, you know, oh, patient extremely combative, you know, she's being ridiculously reasonable and patient. And also the point about, you know, so I have to say all this over again, you don't have notes from the other doctor, like, you know, and it's such a fucked up thing having to go through that exact same situation. Yeah. And the thing about, like, are you even a real doctor? And he demonstrates it by doing that thing you do, you know, something grandparents do to impress, you know, grandchildren, hopefully their own, to, you know, with the detaching part of the finger thing. And then she's like, well, I can do that too. And then he's like, okay, patient is a witch. And also, yeah, when he uses that outdated term, and then he specifies, and I don't mean funny. Yeah, that's there's really major problems still within medicine because of patriarchy and misogyny. And yeah, you know, so he gets the he doesn't write the name of something she has, but he does draw a crude tornado and then gives her a prescription for some pills, which is again, yeah, and then tells her, you know, I can't tell you what personality disorder. That's, yeah, really, really solid satire of American healthcare and in some ways healthcare, modern healthcare in general. And I think that's when we get the second of the ads, and you know, that's when we get the thing about how it's supposed to replace healthcare, and you have the thing about, you know, extremely limited supply and the let's see, medication only available in all, you know, developed countries except for America. And yeah, that's sadly very true. Oh, right. I also really like the Quack, you know, going over, like, apparently their life story. And let's see. Yeah, Quack has had a life. Where's Quack's spin-off prequel series? Anyway, I think that gets us to the yeah, and the part where, you know, the kid played by Maggie Mae Fish is like, you know, on the ground having a medical emergency, and the guy just like continues playing the game, you know, right there, quote unquote, with her, and it's so fucked up. Such a perfect expression of like, let's see, I guess it's called the bystander effect, you know, something along those lines, certainly. And I think that does get us. So yeah, she comes back home, and you know, she's waiting for the pills to arrive, and that is when Carrie shows up. Yeah. So we have the. Oh right, I was also very funny when Carrie showed up earlier. I was like, okay, I'm not dealing with this, and just leaves. And that again, like, it's sadly very true. There are a lot of people who, I mean, I think it's something we all have to, you know, be careful not to accidentally do. It's yeah, you know, capitalism does not really promote empathy and taking care of each other, which is ridiculous, because if enough of us don't take care of each other, I mean, even if you want to be selfish about it and say, oh, only look out for number one, well, it will eventually affect you as well. You know, we are a social animal, we human beings. And I think that might just about... There's at least one more thing that I want to make sure to say. Let's see. So the... Yeah, Carrie, you know, there's the bit with... yeah, you know, bringing the box, and it's, you know, Amy thinks it's the some pills, but in reality, it's a box of possibly blank DVDs that Mike ordered, which, like, yeah, it's so fucked up that that's an actual, like, I don't know if literally 100% that is a thing, but I do know, like, I've heard of people ordering something where it's like, oh, you know, it might be something, but I don't know what it is. And it's just like, what in the Skinner box? Jesus Christ. And I guess that does pretty much get... Yeah, so yeah, and Carrie comes back, and you know, okay, so the bad news or the good news? Oh, why, right, there's actually two bad newses. So Carrie's coworkers or contacts were detained, which, like, I'm slightly unclear on if that means that they were caught doing something illegal, or if it's like, you know, a witch hunt or something that they've been, but either way, yeah, that's a very unfortunate situation. And then Carrie, you know, says the medication is on back order because people are using it to lose weight, which, like, yeah, friendly reminder that if you don't literally need Ozempic, if it's not life or death, don't take it to lose weight. You know, like, that's not really what it's... Yeah, it's so fucked up. Like, my God, it is one of the most effective criticisms of capitalism that there is. Just like, yeah, you know, they made this thing that can help, you know, people with something that might otherwise kill them, and then when it was discovered, oh wait, you can actually use this to be more conventionally attractive, then a bunch of people who didn't need it but wanted, yeah, they bought so much of it that now there are people who need it that can't get it. And I think, let's see. Yeah, I mean, no, wait, yeah, never mind. I wanted to talk about, yeah, and Carrie said, I brought Iffy. Great to see Iffy again. I'm mostly familiar through, I was going to say College Humor, but I guess by now Dropout, yeah. Very, very funny, very talented. And, yeah, it's always great when Iffy shows up in a Dropout video. And they have the conversation and, point out, a number of people have personality disorders. And there's that thing about, like, it's better than being boring, means you have a personality. And yeah, we do really need to destigmatize personality disorders. So many people have them that, like, to be fair, to be clear, I'm also, if not that many people had them, we would still need to destigmatize. But yeah, the fact that so many have it, like, even if you don't care about some of the people suffering, like, if you look at just how many people are struggling with this, I feel like at some point, ideally, empathy kicks in. If need be, try to uncouple from capitalism for a little bit. And, empathy is one of those things that just, I appreciate it not for absolutely everyone. For many, it comes naturally. It's just something that capitalism can really suppress because it's not very it's not, it doesn't generate wealth for the rich to wage theft from us. Anyway, I think that does pretty much cover. Yeah, and the point about, if he talks about, well, my father said, no, you don't have personality disorder, so, oh, maybe it'll just go away, and just, yeah, that's such an important point. That's a huge problem. Yeah. I think that pretty much does get us to the end. Right, also really appreciated, Amy saying, I thought these pills were just gonna make everything better, like some kind of brain erasing thing. And that's, again, I didn't always realize that. I think a lot of people don't. Yeah, that's not really how, that sort of thing works. It's, yeah, like there are some purely physical ailments where it's just taking medication. But in a lot of cases, you have to change something, and it's not easy, but it's necessary. And the sooner you come to terms with it and start, the, that will make it easier than if you put it off. Not to put anyone off. And, yeah, I think that pretty much does cover. Let's see. So the yeah, so I believe right now there is only one episode left, and if new ones come out, I think I will try to do them soon after my initial viewing instead of waiting this long. Right. I also really like that joke about, you need to talk to someone. Oh, you mean like a romantic interest? I mean, I hadn't thought about writing one for myself for this season. But yeah, a person who can solve all my problems. Yeah, romantic love, catching strays. That's, again, that is an actual thing that is, a lot of it is perpetuated by media. This notion that one person will come along and solve absolutely everything wrong with you. Listen, I have been in love. I get that really is what it feels like. I'm not saying media like created it, but media kind of plays into the notion, because that means that a bunch of people who are in love or hoping they will be, or trying to remember what it felt like, they will, consume product. I think ideally, I'm not saying there's something inherently wrong with exploring that, but I think ideally you go in and actually say, oh, hey, it's actually, you got to be careful thinking like this. Yeah, no one person can solve every problem of yours. It's potentially really disastrous to, think that about yourself or anyone else. And if you're in a relationship, romantic or otherwise, with someone who insists that they are the solution to all your problems and they don't want you to be around other people because oh no, they'll take you away from me. I need you more than they do. You know, like, short of that person literally being, terminally ill or something, that's a major red flag. Yeah, I think that does cover everything. Okay, I'm just real quick gonna mentally fast forward through the entire episode to make sure. Oh, right, yeah, I like the thing about it. So now, can I borrow that cup of sugar? No. No. That was also quite funny. And I forget if I've said, but I really do appreciate that, like, at least some of what is said by the episode guest in, their conversation with Amy actually is, like, as far as I can tell, something that this person actually dealt with. And I think that's why they chose that specific individual for that specific episode. And yeah, that's really great. And so I don't know most of them, but from what I understand, they are, well known online, just, not to me personally. And thus, they help put a face to something that for many is, many people feel alone in these struggles. And that's one of the worst things when you're really going through it. So yeah, I am a big believer in, if you have a major platform, you really should talk about, like, I'm not saying you have to be able to talk about everything, but if there's something that talk about. Like, I really appreciate, I'm not saying he's perfect. I certainly think he could have done more to stand up for Brie Larson, but Chris Evans, I remember him talking about, like, essentially, yeah, I don't know exactly how to put words to it, but I remember he said that he felt much better once he realized sometimes you just have to address your thoughts and go, shh. And yeah, like, there's a lot of people who struggle with that, who don't know that they're not alone with it, don't know that, and for someone as, famous, celebrated, successful as him to say, yeah, it happens to me too, that can really help make people feel a lot better about it. And I think that does more or less cover the yeah, right now I forget if it's happened earlier, and I might have even pointed out earlier, but in that case I continue to really love the when, we have all the appliances talking to Amy in unison, and Cindy is included, even though there's still no voice that we can hear. And let's see, I think that might... Right, also really appreciate the way that the mic's beeping as an alarm clock gets more insistent, and having Bill Corbett actually voice the beeps was great. Because like we've all had an alarm clock that either did or at least seemed, when we were trying to fall back asleep, to be increasingly obnoxious about it. Yeah, think I feel like there's at least one more thing I really want to make sure to say. I promise I won't spend forever trying to remember it. If I do not recall very soon, then I will move on. Let's see. So there's the... Oh yeah, I might actually... I'm not sure I can remember it now. Something pithy to end the episode on. Note to self, make sure not to say this part out loud. Oh, right. Yeah, I do really think there's something to, like, just having Quack's, like, past explored. I don't know. I kind of want to know why they thought they were, because, like, they said that, until their buddy tried to cut them in half. Which, like, yeah, I don't think snakes are fond of that. I'm not speaking from experience. Every snake I've ever encountered has remained completely safe from me trying to cut it in half, but... Okay, so that's not entirely true. I don't think I've actually encountered a snake. Has there been one in a zoo? I guess. Anyway, I don't know. I kind of wanna know what made Quack think that they were an earthworm. Also, related question, did they have an arsenal of weapons for legitimately fun turn-based combat?